Some women don't chase, and yet they're never forgotten. Not because of their beauty, but because of the silence that echoed after they left. She didn't beg. She didn't explain. She became emotionally untouchable, and his ego began to starve. In the theater of the masculine psyche, there lives a quiet illusion that the woman will stay, that her heart is an open well, forever available to draw from, that her love will bend but not break. This illusion isn't conscious. It is crafted by the ego, the part of him that assumes she is an extension of his power. But there is a woman who is not made for consumption. She is not chaos, not cling. She is calm, deliberate, unreachable, not because she is cold, but because she has returned to herself. At first, he mistakes her depth for dependence. He plays at inconsistency, thinking it will ignite her pursuit. A message delayed, a compliment withheld, a sudden withdrawal. He doesn't see that he is performing a ritual learned from wounded men, a projection, the shadow of control disguised as attraction. He believes power lies in being emotionally elusive. But this woman, she is not interested in the game. She doesn't trade authenticity for attention. There comes a moment, quiet, like the final breath before dusk, when she feels it. Not anger, not heartbreak. Clarity. She sees how her softness has been mistaken for surrender. And in that moment, she withdraws from the performance, not dramatically, not to provoke, but because the act no longer resonates with her becoming. She begins to observe rather than engage, and the silence she leaves behind echoes louder than all her spoken pleas. He doesn't feel it at first. He thinks she's just cooling off. But days pass. The energy shifts. Her light, once diffused toward him, now turns inward. And the masculine ego, hungry for validation, starts to tremble beneath the surface, because now there is no reaction, no emotional fuel to feed on, just space. And space to the ego is starvation. He begins to spiral, not because he loves her more, but because he no longer feels her orbiting his gravity. It's like standing at the edge of a forest he once owned. The trees haven't moved, but they no longer recognize his presence. He calls out, but the wind does not carry her name back to him. He sends a message, met with stillness. No warmth, no war. Only the haunting indifference of a woman who remembered her worth. This is individuation. Carl Jung spoke of it. The process by which a woman integrates her shadow, reclaims the pieces of herself she gave away, and becomes whole. She no longer seeks permission to feel deeply. She no longer fears being misunderstood. Her silence is no longer a wound, it is a boundary. Her absence is not punishment, it is peace. She has stepped out of his projection and into her presence. Clings, fears abandonment. But when she heals, she no longer begs to be seen. She no longer dances for scraps. Instead, she observes the pattern, then chooses to exit the loop. Not because she has closed her heart, but because she has raised its standards. Now her silence speaks a fluent, elegant refusal. And what of him? The man who once believed she would always be there? He begins to feel, not love, not yet, but the echo of something ancient. An emptiness that demands reflection. He is no longer being fed. And in that hunger, he meets the mirror of his own emotional immaturity. This is his invitation. To evolve, to confront his shadow, to see women not as extensions of his ego, but as sovereign souls. The woman who becomes emotionally untouchable is not cruel. She is clear, and the man who starves in her absence is not cursed. He is called to rise, called to feel, called to finally see, because the woman who walks away in silence isn't weak. She simply sees more. Thank you. See you next video.